Oh, if you knew what it means to make peace. Welcome to a word of hope for Thursday of the 33rd week in Ordinary Time. My name is Father Brendan Curran, Dominican promoter for justice and peace for North America, joining you in the midst of a troubled text from the Gospel of Luke. Jesus, right before this passage of today's Gospel, has just entered triumphantly into the holy city of Jerusalem. We often hear that same text right before this one in our celebration of the beginning of Holy Week on Palm Sunday. Hosannas are shared, cloaks before Jesus on a donkey, riding triumphantly into the city. And then we're smack faced with reality. Just passage and verses later, Jesus is condemned to death. And in this transition, we see this passage of Christ weeping openly for the authorities who will condemn him. And he sees his seal as a fate accomplished. That is not to give us diminishment and to give us disillusionment. Let us remember that Jesus triumphantly rode on, to recognize hope in our midst, to remind us that after the death on the cross, there is an empty tomb. That's what should gift us with comfort on this very week, the 30th anniversary of the massacre of Jesuit priest professors at a campus in San Salvador, El Salvador, 30 years ago this week. Professors who simply preached with their lecture and professorship and with their voice of hope for students at a campus in San Salvador were considered a national threat. Let's consider it. It seems so long ago, but 30 years ago this week, they were massacred brutally inside their rectory home with their housekeeper, simply for speaking of peace, not for speaking of taking up arms, but for seeking peace in El Salvador during a troubled and horrifying civil war. Where's that voice of peace today? The voice of peace that we see in places that are war-torn like Ukraine, Congo, and around the world. Let us remember the peace that we've spoken about in our streets and uncertainties for immigrants in the United States today. Let us be beacons of hope in peace. Let us be reassured by the gospel story of Christ, who, even though he weeps in our human sense of the toll of his journey, he woke up on the new Easter Sunday morning with a new light of resurrection for us all. Let us use that voice of peace. Let us be those beacons of voice of hope and dignity, even in the face of threat that our experiences serve us all across the world today. We are grateful for Jesuit martyrs and their housekeeper who remind us to be beacons of hope even in the face of death threats. Thank God we are not threatened each day, but that we use our voice in an intentional way to bring about peace through our words and actions. Blessings on you, and may we be blessed and empowered by that peaceful word that is our lives for a society thirsting and longing for truth, dignity, and peace today. Blessings upon you.